They need to get a good placement on the board. If there's ever a time and a place to do it, it'd be a championship like now. We are moving into Miramar, but you look also towards the other three teams that are in that top four. Tempo, 11th and 12th at the last Classic they attended. Na'Vi did pretty damn well. They picked up a third placement. They've got a bronze medal in the cabinet, but they want more. The Rumblers, well, this is the absolute godsend of a story. You unfortunately don't get the teams here due to travel issues. You bring these boys in. The Finn, the big man loss, he boots out Liquid on their last game. And now they are coming into this, and they are fourth. This is an amazing performance for them.
Now, I just want to highlight, I'm sure you guys might have noticed, with those with the keen eyes, 64 players back in the game. That means we have Lin joining us back for infantry. They're up to 4 men, so he's putting on a brave face here, getting himself back in the matchup. You can tell how much this means to these players. It's all on the line. This is what they've been fighting for months, building into these moments, into these games, for every chance for your team and your region. And now we find out Miramar, we're going from north to south with a slight east lean on it. Who's benefiting from this? Whose drop might have a bit of a challenge? It's first time we're going to see some of these potential contested spots. Who's close by? Eyes are on a swivel here.
Playing up, players down. Divine at the moment, taking a look around. We don't have much of a contest down here. We will be in the south toward the darker side of the mountains and the foothills. Turtle's off on his own, but that's fine. He'll find his shell and just hunker down for dear love and look for where this circle comes. The Rumblers, just above them, Kumasera, could be the objective should they have to transfer up towards the north. The circle is favourable down this neck of the woods. I'm seeing shots already. Buliang get a bit of a warning from Sharky. This has kind of gone the way of Tempo. Time and time again, they do make it down to these latter stages of the circles.
Sharky, make my day.
If anybody can do it, the marksman who can, it would have to be Sharky. There's not many people who can hit, oh God, and for good reason, Buliang's actually hiding. Please come and collect me. Infantry. I mean, let's be real. You can, without question, losing a player, unfortunately, has ended them up where they're down at the bottom end of the leaderboards. But now they're back to a full 4. What can they do with 2 games to go?
I mean, they've fought valiantly so far in my eyes. To come back into this with 3 and pick up where they were, credit to them. Let's see how far they can take it. They're not where my mind's going. I'm looking towards those top teams again and seeing how their positions now reside. Obviously, Tempo Storm, wonderful spot for them. Under the assumption they don't lose a player early if they're too spread out. I don't think that's going to be a problem here, unless maybe TSM was near you, because these guys are like rabid dogs. They'll just hunt you down. They are not within this circle, and that's something I want to talk about. How well are these teams going to play into this? Do you think Na'Vi are a million miles away here?
They are, but you know what? They're a bit of a Miramar team. We've seen them do wonderful things before coming down from La Cobarere, and this time you won't have other teams that are pressuring them and applying too much. There may be, again, it all depends which way they go. They take the western road and come all the way down and swing it, but you have the likes of 1,000,001 teams that are going to be coasting the western edge. The problem is if they go towards the north and then come down through the east, it all depends on what Sun Sister decides they want to do. From Junkyards onwards on that side of the circle, it's very desolate, it's very open, it's very broken. Not many teams should be there, but other teams might have the same thought process. You know what? This circle, this center part, will be heavily contested. Let's play edge, let's play it slow. And this is where you get these teams who are essentially just border patrol.
Perfect, and I'm glad we're seeing this kill ranking here, because normally I don't get too excited by TSM on Miramar, and maybe that's my own fault there. Maybe they have a little more to show, because it has been a different team we're seeing this time. But their killing ability is terrifying. Iroh, Rory up there. He's not been your heavy fragger normally, but now he's absolutely smashing it. Gustav's up there. It's all of them are towards the top. Now, Michael's not exactly far behind either. He's just sitting with the big boys down below, like Sharky's down there, Micro Fry. Again, scary to see whether or not that can convert here. I feel their game plan, their game style, will it apply to Miramar? That's the question for me. Beyond that, though, they do have Lazarus quite close by, but they're on the move already. We are seeing earlier and earlier rotations, people setting those markers for those quick moves to get into those prime positions.
Well, when we look towards the groups for TSM, they're actually in the top 4. Essentially, if you want to put it this way, the worst ranked team. 11.5 on placement, an only average of around 3 kills. It's not great, but if you're feeling it, if the confidence is there, you know, I mean, usually it's the Milkman Michael himself that's the one that's stepping up big for this team. He's yet really to show his hand on what he's fully capable of, whether or not he's taking a different role for this event, whether or not he's been either the entry fragger, the more of the support role. The man can frag, but whatever's happening with TSM, hell, keep doing it. They are putting points on the board, and it's coming down to killing.
Okay, we're starting to see those teams converging towards a more centralized area northeast of Los Leones. You do have Tempo Storm there, you have Enter's Force over there, and they're starting to pester, and we are seeing a couple of these teams getting very close by.
Indigo did take a peek this way, so whether or not they got the
That's a third
word of
party
warning,
from the hill.
it is.
Oh, no, it's not. It's a 2-2 split.
Yeah, they're going to read the information here. You can already see Xiongyan is going to potentially... Oh, my God, the third
That's
party.
the third party. And that's on towards Enters. So they were the ones keeping the other team compressed, not allowing them to move further forward and stay defined to this ditch. So they backed away. But if Enters overstep, there's the punish.
Enters get a lifeline in the fact that QM have been pressured away by their sisters over on the opposing side now. The team is this 2-2 scenario, so they can defend one another. The problem is for Enters, they are completely disconnected. There's nowhere for them to eject themselves from this building, because if they do, Tempo Storm's going to have an absolute field day with them. When you've got Sharky with any kind of level of guns, or any of them, to be fair, that are going to be holding the minis, because the minis are so unforgiving on this map. You can just spam that thing for days and eventually take them down. Doesn't matter how many bullets you hit, so provided you hit a few and take enough that your teammate can pick it up, it's going to get the job done. And this is exactly why QM are just advancing and say, you know what, let's not take this fight, let's reposition and find somewhere better.
Now let's keep in mind all the other teams are slowly converging towards this area. TSM aren't that far from maybe line of sight towards Genesis, for example. They could maybe even look far over towards the teams we were just witnessing. So there is that now extra factor of danger. You shoot, someone's folding towards you. We've seen this now. Teams are willing to fight.
But this is why TSM is specifically going in a very, very wide split. All four players individually just rotating. They will be in the same line and convergence, but still separated apart so they can multitask and look for a decent foothold in this circle. Eventually we will pull away from water, giving circle 4, but for now, just find somewhere decent. Don't die. Don't give up any useless deaths on rotation. As you can see from Wu Feng's POV, that might be easier said than done, because there is always enemies lurking on the hillsides of Miramar.
There certainly is. Now, the northern side is getting slightly busy with those rotations. Teams are still far apart. Keep in mind, it is Miramar. Even though it looks quite close by, there is a lot of cover. The terrain plays a huge element in this. It allows for these rotations. But if teams get greedy, they get complacent, they don't scout correctly, they'll lose players here. So we'll see if all those teams on the extremities make it in safely. It looks like we're almost there, and we have kept 64 alive, so no one getting picked up early.
We didn't actually get the conversions of the two northern teams. Na'Vi decided to send it on the western side of the circle. We said that was a possible option for them. Thankfully, Gen G went all the way down south, but same did the Rumblers. The problem is, that could have happened, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The Sun Sisters, they did take that northern path. They went all the way to the east. VC still lingering and kicking it around there, so that's completely blocked off now. The northern edge is gone.
Look at TSM's split. The 2-1-1, it's pretty brazen, if I'm honest. Na'Vi, if they could isolate or find Gustav, he is under some form of threat, if that's the case. I think for now he's far enough away, but it's information. Again, all this info is being completely filtered through to the rest of his team. If it does move in, let's say, a westerly fashion, if it shifts away, they've got a good picture. Now, I want to see how Na'Vi approach this. They also like quite a wide spread on this one. They'll take their time, though. I think Na'Vi, for me, even though they have been doing well, they still don't look like the scary Na'Vi to me yet.
It's getting there. It's starting to warm up,
and
I think that comes from going back, looking at the VODs. If there's a team that can, it's Na'Vi. We saw from phase 1 of PEL. God, I mean, it's a totally different team altogether, but they were nothing. They were absolutely trash, and there's no nicer way of turning it around. But speaking of turning it around, they literally picked up some new players. Then all of a sudden, we're seeing at the top of the table. There are kinks in the armor, in the fact that if you see teams being aggressive on them, if you see teams that are lingering around them, I personally feel they really hurt under pressure. I mean, Gen G, I think it was Friday, was quite literally bullying Bestalotch in the fact that he was running away and being chased down. Any other time we'd personally see him, we'd be like, you know what? I have an AKM. Let's have a fight. Let's have a crack. But no, with certain scenarios like this, they have been bullied. Yeah,
we need to see where this goes. Rumblers are working their way in on the south as well. We haven't seen too much from them yet, and this is the shift, southern shift. Big moves here, because this keeps in Leones, and people do not like to play that city. It's a last resort. It doesn't often go there, but it could. Who now becomes the king of the hill? Who gets that best jump-off spot to get those prime compounds? I'm seeing maybe 2 or 3 teams who get a really good shot at this, potentially 4, because, well, Gen G, just in the south there, so much room.
This is where you have to look towards your IGL, but this more importantly has to look towards teams where they will be. Transfer will come through. I'll hold for a second.
Profi's gone, hold on. Big pickup from TSM. They've been getting the info and they're going to find it. This is a bit of a quick setup. It feels like TSM know exactly when to hit the gas and when to relax and when to play for positioning. So far, they've caught 1 on rotation. They've had to slow down a little, though. That will slow them on the push up towards Los Leones. Now, on the east, it's a different affair. It's busy. Not many are swinging on that western safer approach. That east which road heading down the coast has now got 2 teams en route. You have so many others with potential vision.
Grenade comes through. That's the warning one. You can't miss those. If you know where the player is, you've got to crack on for it. Flashbang will go up. There might be some sort of advancement here, but the rest of Tempo Storm, they'll go flying by. Miluk, unfortunately, is left to deal with the oncoming assault potentially from the back. The heals are up, and they're good for now. Max HP will come through, but Longsker is an absolute fragger in himself. Individually skilled. This will be a decent fight. It's only a one-on-one, but it's easy points for one team.
If the other 3 can get their attention, I don't think Luke's got any idea he's going to be there. And now, yeah, there it is. Instant pickup. Surely a flush to follow. I don't think his team can save him. There is a trade, but it's on the other side. That's Zampa trying to make the play towards the compound. Got to be careful on those nades. Now he's going to decide to do it. But infantry are kind of split up here. They're a little bit dangerous in that regard. It's hard to pin down all of them. But they've got Lin now bleeding by the wayside. Barely welcome back into the matchup as infantry try and avenge their fallen teammate, but Zampa's found cover.
I would say I like this. It was a good time to collapse. Shots, actually, they've not been kept in track of. He's been allowed to stay on top of the hill, which has done the damage. Get the whole overside of this. But now Joy, it's not joyful for any of the teams that are going to be below this, because unfortunately, that's 3 points for them. You mentioned third party. All that noise and all that racket, it's essentially drawn the attention of the team sitting on the hillside.
And look at this perfect angle to work with. It's so deadly for either side. Now they can't be safe from each other without exposing themselves to Enter's ace up on the perfect high ground. This now is going to pin them in. This is going to slow down Tempo Storm's potential aggression to sweeping things out, clearing how they'd like to. It makes things all a little bit trickier.
The bigger picture for Enter's ace behind them, all on this right-hand side of Los Leones, we have this mountainside that the circle physically cannot end on. This basically creates a bottleneck. They can play spoiler. Obviously, depends on where the circle goes, but should it shrink to the center, they have full safety behind them. They can just hold center circle and nobody can kill them from behind or flank them.
So as you can see, Ender's ace were on the west side of the Tempo Storm fight, but on the east was Vendetta. So as soon as they tried to move away from one side, the others caught them. They've got such good vision. Everyone is so aware. As soon as you shoot your gun, as you said, they'll pile in. They see potential. Any sort of weakness, it's going to be taken away from you. Now, TSM did take their time on rotations, but they were coming in from the Los Leones side, the western side of it. So they may get a little bit more time, but there is a team behind them. And quite a scary team at that. That could be a bit of information for Gustav here. Got to be careful. Does make it away.
Tell you what, if the circle goes south, Na'Vi are well in with a chance of winning this.
Look at Gen.G split.
I'm glad you touched on it. Gen.G are literally next to him. Now, given this scenario, next circle we move away from water. It will try and fit into as much as humanly possible. So this is a good chance for all these teams down south. Get to that middle road. There is a road that runs straight through the valleys. Find the houses on there. It gives you a really good foothold to overview teams that want to come up to you and makes it difficult for them to be attacked like castles.
Rory spots Leo out. Gonna peel away from this. Maybe not a clean enough fight that they'd want. Maybe not feeling they can get that execution as clean as they'd like, and it's gonna slow them down. They need to think about their rotation to circle. What do they do in this?
I think you have to disconnect from this altogether. You're kind of wasting time. Unless you can get this kill and hit the world and pick up the point, then fair play, lads. Why not? Carry on the onslaught, TSM. But there is a response, and this slows them down further. They are the furthest from the circle now. Everybody else is getting set up. There's not a lot of room in that circle, and when they arrive, they could be in trouble. Boys, you have to weigh this up. This could cost you in the next 5 minutes of the game when you want to try and advance to somewhere decent.
They do know it's the quieter side as such. They do know that. And now Iroh has been an animal for TSM today, but we are seeing Gen.G come into their own. That's not surprising. Their position was paramount. They've taken the ideal compound. They should thrive. As is Iroh, and another kill gets added to the list. But beyond that, Gen.G continuing to rack up the kills, continuing to get those points, and they hold the best compound here.
And that was Entis on top of the hill. They were still lingering and looking towards Tempo Storm's side. Now for Tempo Storm, let's just touch on it. They did eliminate Infantry. Infantry went down in 16th place. Tempo could have the fight of their life. They're battered, they're bruised, they're ever so slightly weak, and they've lost a man. Lazarus is directly in front of them on the northern edge of the circle.
Now, keep in mind, Genesis are holding quite the edge here. They could catch the remnants of that TSM fight. They are way over in towards that western side, Na'Vi in the south, so this is going to be a hard one for everyone involved. Tempo Storm, Lazarus only steps away now, a couple of ridges between, but on Miramar, that could mean the difference. Sharky, is he aware? Oh, he's going to spot one of them, but Alo's way closer. Trade instant, Zampa goes down. Tempo Storm are already in battles. They're already weakened. I think they're down to 3 here. This could be the killing blow. Luke 12 going to claim Zampa's life, but the nade is perfect towards Sharky. I don't see him making it out of this one alive. They have no engage. The utility is being brought down. Wait, TSM! What has happened?
Well, yeah, okay, and this is what you mentioned earlier on about taking a really good, strong foothold in the map. They arrived late, and STV was already set up for them. They got punished from the battles earlier on that all 3 players have gone just like that instantly.
Well, I mean, if you look at the other team who was out there, GEX, they've really suffered a similar fate. They ran in towards Genesis. There was no easy rotation route. And we said, was that fight the right choice for them in Los Leones? That may have cost them a chance, and it may have been a slim one.
Tempo Storm, unfortunately. They were together as a 3-man stack, which when you're wandering through the outskirts of the hills, that's generally what you want to do. But Lazarus, I think it was a complete unbeknown situation for them. They were split, and they had so much more viewership on them. They could hit them from multiple angles. Essentially, North America, once again, knocking the hell out of each other time and time again. These teams do, generally speaking, rotate along the same patch. They get a feel for how things go, and it's sometimes a detriment to the league that you get a little bit more repetitive. It ends up in scenarios like that where you do butt heads. This time around, the 2 teams, one of them does get knocked out. It is Tempo. We're down to 13. Central Road, what I was speaking about during the last 2 rotations, is still pretty clear. Gen G, they are laughing.
Gen G, as soon as you see that compound, you know it's a stronghold. GEX, again, it's a struggling time for them. They had so much pressure early. They never had time to come in. I thought that was going to be on the other side. I thought Genesis was maybe going to find that, but it was Na'Vi. Good points for them, just slowly building, getting themselves in, working slowly in the southern approach. But the problem is, I feel for me, when you look at Na'Vi, their final boss would be potentially Gen G. I don't know if they can rotate southeast, because you do have the Rumblers down there, and they've been quiet, but they're a deadly team when they start popping off.
Oh, no.
That was the pull-up.
It's a murder. It's an absolute murder.
Look.
And you know what? I will say this. Fair credit for actually holding...
That was one clip.
Yeah, tooth and nail to eliminate them all like that.
That's not safe for broadcast, that sort of stuff. A little bit filthy. Northern side, incredibly compact. The south side gets controlled by Gen G's compound, so it's very hard to play yourself in. That open field is just a safe territory for them. Yes, you can prone in it, but you don't want to be at this point. 13 teams, 45 players, someone's going to spot you. This next circle is going to be incredibly polarizing. North and south, that road is going to divide many of these teams.
2-2 for Na'Vi. These 2 on your screen currently are outside of the circle. 2 forward, Uzi and Bestaloch. They'll get a better foothold here for Na'Vi if anyone wants to make an aggressive push, like you saw with TSM. Trying to find a good foothold within a circle is so vital and pivotal, which is how they're handling this one now. They'll play spoiler and hold these people back to the blue, try and pick up a few points. Need to be very aware that Nerth is encroaching on this position. Should he overstep his boundaries, Na'Vi will punish him because there's no revive available. 2 of his teammates have been held dead to rights on the road just towards the north. GEX has gone. 3 point for Na'Vi, job done. Could have opted to give it up to the blue, but not enough time.
The one thing I love, the teams who are currently sat in 3rd and 4th are basically on the same side of the map here. You've got Na'Vi and the Rumblers both waiting in the south. So this could be a huge game for both of these teams. This could be a big jump-up spot. With Tempo Storm down, this could be a nice little move up into 2nd for one of these 2. Certainly has room for it if, again, we see a Rumbler big game. That northern side looks like a powder keg waiting to go off. There's so many teams just about staying in this here.
There is a very strong position on this map. And it kind of bumps between, well, to be fair, it's the center of the circle. Gen G, given the fact that they have the God compounds, no one really else has anything strong towards the middle. There are no real areas that you can hide in from a distance, which people will struggle to get towards you when we talk about attacking a compound. They've got Loki, who's disconnected from the team as well, to hold the little mini compounds down and further afoot. I'll hold for now because Vendetta, unfortunately, the punishment just keeps on going 2 back-to-back like that.
Look at Purdy Curdy's positioning. Look at Luke 12's positioning. They still held the edge of this valley of death for Vendetta at the moment. The push still continues. Luke 12 at the helm of this, and there must be something bittersweet about it for him. But Critical on the other side could be in real danger, trying to fall away. Edge with the off angle. Oh, big turnaround with the headshot. That AK coming in paramount for him.
They're not punishing the Lauren. He's got no health. They should be going up there to end his rampage.
Back. Look at Critical's position. They can't push. He'll see them. And there it is. Purdy Curdy receives punishment, but he outdoes his opponent. Now Edge still alive, going to wrap the hillside, try and find an angle. Uncivil aware and does the better job. It's going to be Lazarus surviving, and Vendetta falls down in 12th.
Mentioned a problem that may occur here for Genesis. Hitchwin did go down, but they've got him on the feet. The problem is they are completely miles away from this one. STV, they've gone for the pull-up. They can't get inside. The grenades are there. Turtle has absolutely no health whatsoever. And if Na'Vi push this, well, they're dead, done, and dusted.
Turtle is just about alive. It's by a prayer at this point. Aduzi going to go on the wrap, trying to find that next angle to ensure he can't back away from this, can't get that revive. And he's caught up. God, he didn't expect to see the Bush Wookie there, but Aduzi does what Aduzi does. Deals with it well. 4 kills already, 4 players alive. And Na'Vi starting to come alive here. They've taken over the bigger part of the Gen G compound as well.
Because they've moved forward. That's fantastic work. To consolidate like that and get yourself... It's a smaller area to deny, but you can't approach it. Without approaching in a vehicle, there's no way to attack those buildings. And because at the front and back side, you have the road, it's completely open, it's completely sparse. It's going to be a difficult one. When you look towards a hangar where Na'Vi is, it's extremely open from multiple angles of attack. I really want to touch on Aduzi's play, though, to push that so aggressively, to deny anyone a chance to either get a res, get back to full health. It's fantastic work because you know you have your friends in the back who are with you to get the revive if needed. And
you can see Aduzi. I love the way he's watching this. One, he's keeping tab on the middle of the minimap there, checks back down, checks on towards everything that he can, keeps in mind everything that's going on. But then he's also watching the skyline, see if anyone's silhouetting towards the top side of that hill, see if anyone's over there, checking again the direction. Obviously on a player's screen you have, you know, the north, east, south. It's got the numbers on it. He's pushing it now. This is all good gameplay. Genesis making the mad run for it. Smoke wall is up. Can it save them?
Goes down in the smoke. There'll be no more to essentially get him beat. Dead man running. They're still outside of the wide, and when they come off the back of this, they have Enter's Force to deal with. I don't really know how many smokes they've got left in the tank, Lauren. That's a lot committed, and that's a helmet missing off H-Win as well.
That shot on the cross was absolute filth. Nerf's going to try and get back down to cover. I don't know if that's going to... Those smokes are fading, K-Mind. He's a brave man to go for this. I think he might be just safe. Well, we'll find out in about 2 seconds.
It's here. It's hungry.
Sure, he's a lucky boy, Nerf. Run, boy, run. You are lucky to be alive. And Genesis, where's the cover? Where can they go? Where are these headshots coming from? Taemin, it's an animal.
No, they're all dying and they're all dead. No health, no helmet. And no more Genesis in the server, unfortunately.
Aduzi's making a quick play up as well towards Genesis here. He's already trying to get the foot in towards the next position. We do see that northern fight continuing and beginning even further with Lazarus starting to try and control the north, trying to get some territory they needed. And they're only down to 3, but you can see Purdy Curdy instantly looking at these hillsides. Where is our next player going to come from? Where's our next position going to be threatened? Because he doesn't have the full image. You can see when the players have full info or when they don't, and that's him just trying to keep in mind who's around them. Look how passive they're being. They're trying to get the heals off. They're trying to get themselves somewhat safe here, but it's not easy.
Just so you're aware, in the back, Enter's Ace is setting up a really good position and using vehicles to give themselves a bit of a roadblock. They're inside a crevice of a river, which basically stops anyone coming across the road and approaching them from one side. And then they can let the rest of the teams look up the hill towards Enter's Force. Lazarus, who at the moment, by the way, are on a bit of a tear. That's another team gone at the hands of them. Sun Sisters do need to make an approach. Lazarus doesn't need to bite off more than they can handle here, Lauren, because there's 2 teams waiting.
But they have a nice piece of high ground. You really want to exploit that. You want to get these points, and they're going to. As long as they don't overpeak, Halo needs to be really careful to not overdo this, because that's a headshot that could come through. Backs away, stays alive, but barely.
Enter's Force is moving on Enter's Ace's position.
Gen G just got a knock. Hold on, Na'Vi are moving in towards Gen G. This is the Battle of the South going off as well. Aduzi leading the charge at the forefront for his side. The nades start to rain in, and Gen G need to be prepared for the CIS storm that's coming their way.
Senya's going for the off angle, but he might be too little too late.
He's going!
The hour at the doors, gets himself stuck in. Sunshine needs to get this knock now. In the background, Sun Sisters are going down. There's a big Mansa fights just going on in the north and the central. We have Enter's Force versus Enter's Ace, but now Na'Vi, they need to get Gen G out of this if they want to get across that road.
Time is ticking, Blues moving in. They've got to keep that in mind, and they know they've got a countdown on this. Gen G can disengage. It looks like they might be considering it. Loki might just take them down. He might try and just be the knife in the back to slow Na'Vi, to stop them rotating. Senya considering an off angle. Can he maybe catch them on the way out? Bestlosh, Pokemolodoi, back on their feet. It's time to move. It's time to make the play.
Loki's just lobbed the nade out. Whether it does any damage or not, it's a different question altogether. They stuck the res to get the 4 men back on the feet, but they can't really get the heal off out the window. Loki sees one. That was Senya. That was the off angle that he was supposed to hold for this entire time. But now, that actually gives Gen G a point to move if they want to do it. There's an avenue of approach towards that road.
Estherslow can still be the final line on this. He's going to find Aduzi. He's going to find Bestaloch. And Gen G stay alive.
And all that comes off the back of removing one man. Getting Senya off of your backside opens up the door, lets them out of the building, and they just slap Na'Vi on arrival.
Okay, here's the northern battle. You have Enter's Force northwest. High ground, pretty nice, good position. Middle of it all, Lazarus. Fighting everything they can. Hyper-aggression to their east, VC. And then you have a couple of, players still remaining. Sun Sisters still have one. You do have the Rumblers, slow building in the southeast. But look at Entus. Look at the other teams. They're spread out already in the southern side. Gen G are going to have a very tough battle getting across that road. The team playing the ditch has full awareness of this.
So Gen G is going to be battered, but not fully broken yet. They are down a few men. It's going to be a difficult approach across that road. You would assume, unless some kind of God maneuver or God headshot comes through, that they're dead. Once you hit that road, you have all 4 members of Ace staring them down. We move across more towards the northern side of the map. The Rumblers 4 up as well. Rainey's down here from Enter's Ace. He's disconnected from the rest of the team just to keep an eye on them. That's very clever for now. But it's whether or not the other teams want to make an approach. Honestly, I feel that Rumblers just play cleanup duty here and just mop up all the remnants of who's left over from these 3 fights, which could kick off at any time.
Rumblers, they terrify me, these boys. They're such underdogs the way they scrap. They're a scrappy team. Even though they're in 4th, they're still a scrappy side. They're playing from literal low ground. Ender's Ace do find Gen G as they make the move, or at least one of them. That's not surprising, but Lazarus catching out VC might be a little bit of a shocker there. Lazarus are playing dirty up in the north. They're holding that high ground. They waited as long as they could, but look who just jumped in their spot.
Really quickly, I want to touch on something else which might just happen here. Enter's Force has flooded the valley, absolutely flooded the valley, and Enter's Ace has to rally. They're also moving towards the Rumblers. We have 2 fights on 2 different fronts. Ace, Rumblers down south. Force have just wrapped. Good catch on that one. Lazarus could have caught them off guard, so they must have seen them.
I think it's slow info. They must have just found out that Lazarus was still up here somehow, and they didn't go on the eastern wrap. Rumblers were waiting for it, but this could be a huge clash. This is 2 teams in the north, and you got the 2 in the south. Good luck, observers. I don't envy you right now. Enters Force, about to find Lazarus. The battle begins. Cherry Poppins, he's not moving for the life of him. Enters Force. Sweep through Lazarus.
Instance, all 3 players back to back to back. Job done. Now you can turn and face. Get your players back off the floor. And watch the next fight that will unfold. The Rumblers, if they can keep 4 alive to go up against Enter's Force, this could be a spicy game for them.
But the push on the low ground's happening. You can see it. You can see the push on the low ground. That's to try and keep Cherry Poppins, Microfy, all of them humble. But I'm looking to see where the Rumblers take this. They have such a cornered position. They have to fight their way out. OG and Enters can just kind of play this, it's not necessarily... I guess Enter's Force, if you look in the north, can play this however they want. They have high ground. As long as they keep smart cover on the terrain, they're somewhat safe. This battle is far from safe, though. Look at that play already from the Rumblers, finding these filthy little angles that are just going to infuriate the other side.
The Rumblers have to play quick here and deal with them. Because while every second they stay down south, Enter's Force regroups on them and rallies in the north.
Lost HG is already moving center, though. I like this.
That.
Slow creep towards the northern side. Try and get central point. I don't mind that at all.
And for good reason. Force is just cresting all angles of the circle. Once you've dealt with this fight down south, you've got to turn and face. Microfy and Lost HD disconnect from the pack. That's great for them. Keep a track of what's going on, see if they can get any line of sight, because Enter's Force will not shoot here. They will not give away their position whatsoever, unless they can find an easy kill, which they do. And the rest of the team, it rallies and will face them.
But you've got to give credit where it's due towards Enter's Force. But the way they're holding is that kind of 2-man hit squad in the middle, the ones that will happily take the fight, and the outskirts watchers. You have 2 players watching the east and the west, ensuring no one can creep up on them or go for those kind of cheekier flanks on the outskirts. That's what the Rumblers are looking for. If they find a weakness, if they find a knock, then it's game back on.
Initial shots will be laid down. Force and Ace knocking each other. Oh.
That's almost the goer. That's what you're waiting on. You're waiting on a knock, otherwise you can't fight them. Again, the Rumblers cannot move until this circle closes or they clear out Enter's Ace in the south.
I'm a little bit concerned that they are staying too hyper-focused on the 2 free points that are down here. Essentially, they could give it up and it'll be a waste of time. I do understand why they need to do it, because once this circle moves, they could run up and stab them in the back. Microfy's position and Lost HD to kind of get a defensive stance and keep a track of what's going on. But Enter's Force has wrapped from north to west. They have completely repositioned, and they might actually sweep up these points in the back.
Yeah, but here we go. That is very bad for the Rumblers. That is a big loss to start with. Trade comes back in. Lost HD got knocked in the meantime. This is looking very bad for the Rumblers. We're down to 2 teams here. Microfry doing what he can. Central Point holds it down as best he could. But now you see the rest folding in. Enters Force, sweeping through. But Microfry, given a chance. Would you really want to give him a chance in this? Because now it's just 3 standing. Can he isolate the 1v1s? Can he exploit them? No! They hold the line and they hold the win.